Hello, today is March 26, 2015. My name is Janelle Northey and I'm a social worker for BC's Ministry of Child and Family Development. I'm interviewing Mary Williams in her home at 354 First Street, Victoria, BC. And the time is now 10:28. So hello Mary, how are you?
I'm okay.
So we had talked earlier, and I'd really like to thank you for meeting with me today.
Yeah, no problem.
Just to let you know that this will be taped, and it will be confidential.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
So if you have any questions, I can answer at the end of the interview for you. If there is something that you don't know, then you can let me know that you don't know. And just to let you know that we will be filming the interview.
Sure, that all sounds good.
Okay. So I'm here because you reported events that happened regarding Astrid Magnuson that concerned you. So I'm here to ask for a more detailed interview to gather more information about the events.
Okay.
So I'd like to thank you again for coming in today.
Yeah.
And answering my questions. And maybe before we start, do you have any questions for me?
No. I think we're good. We can just get started.
Okay. So, this interview is occurring soon after Astrid Magnuson's mom was arrested for first-degree murder of Barry Smith because of the safety concerns that relate to Astrid. That is why we're discussing this. So I have a few questions to help me understand your concerns that you reported to me.
Yeah, okay.
So to begin, Mary, what is your relationship with Astrid Magnuson?
I am Astrid's art teacher at the South Center High School.
Okay. So. And were you aware of Astrid's mom, or that she was arrested for first-degree murder of her boyfriend, Barry Smith?
No, I wasn't aware that she killed him or that she was even being charged. I knew that they were in a relationship and that they were having, relationship problems. It wasn't always the best relationship from what I gather. She told me about the incident where her mom stabbed Barry, but that's about it. So I didn't know about the murder.
And how did you know that they were in a relationship?
Well, Astrid and I talk after school some days and after art class, that kind of thing, just like when we're finishing up and, during class or whatever. But mostly after class, we'll just kind of talk together.
Sorry, is it okay if I grab my pencil? I'm going to write some stuff
down.
Totally fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, anyway, so we were just, talking one day, and I was just listening, and she just really sounded like she needed somebody to talk to. She said that her mom was really busy all the time, and mostly that she was just busy dating Barry, so, yeah.
So, were you aware of any of the concerns about Astrid and being unsafe because of emotional harms by her mom?
I mean, maybe, but not to the full extent, not to the extent of her being able to commit murder. Astrid did tell me about some of her troubles at home and the troubles that she was having with her mom, but I mean, girls, they're gonna have their problems with their moms, and I really thought that might have been the extent of it, but she also told me about the fact that her mom just kept getting more upset and more mad at Barry and wanted to hurt him because of what he did. She told me about the stabbing, and that just was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was too crazy. I was so concerned for her. I just couldn't do nothing. I had to report it.
Okay. And so when did she talk to you?
Well, I remember Astrid was talking to me after class one day. It was just actually right before lunchtime ended. It was the 18th, actually. It was the 18th of March. So,
So how do you know that Astrid talked to you about her mom stabbing Barry on March 18th, 2015?
Oh, well, I remember because that day we had a school art showing for my after school art class, and the kids that were in the art show were showing off their work in my classroom during the lunch hour. And since Astrid is one of my students, she was there that day showing off her art to whoever wanted to come by. So then it was that day because of the art show, and I know because close to the noon hour ending, the kids were kind of leaving, and Astrid stayed behind so that we could talk. So.
Okay. So when you were talking with Astrid in your classroom, was there anyone else in the classroom with you guys?
No, it was just me and her in the room, and she waited until everybody else was gone. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Astrid stated that her mother had stabbed Barry one night when he had come over and punched a hole in the window with his hand. Can you tell me anything more about that?
Well, obviously, it concerned me. I mean, she talked to me about other times, like other issues with her mom, but it was never anything that concerned me so much because it wasn't violent. Like, this conversation was just so different between me and her. It was actually really scary.
So, Mary, you said that this conversation was different. Could you clarify why you felt this conversation felt different than maybe the other ones?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't like I said, it was like a really scary kind of conversation. Just the look in her eye, she just seemed a lot more scared than ever before, and she was really nervous talking to me. Like, she's never been nervous talking to me before in the past, and she just looked at me and told me that she was really scared about what her mom might do next.
So, Mary, can you tell me more about that talk that you had with
her? Well, yeah. So Astrid had mentioned that her mom hurt Barry because he was trying to get into the house by stabbing or by punching the window, and then she stabbed him. So then Astrid stated that she was afraid that her mom was going to end up doing something even worse to him. She stated that she wanted her mom to just stop, but she wouldn't, and she knew that her mom and Barry were in a really bad situation, and she just, I guess, felt like it was just gonna get worse. So, yeah.
Okay. So what did you do after she told you that her mom stabbed Barry and that she was afraid that her mom was going to do something worse?
That's when I asked her what she meant. Like, I said, Astrid, what do you mean by she's going to do something worse, than stabbing him? But she just said, blew it off, like, never mind, it's nothing. My mom's just that kind of person.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, she didn't want to talk anymore, so that's when I got really concerned. She kind of just, stopped talking, and that's when I made the report to social services because I wanted to report my concerns. I know that Astrid and her mom had troubles now and again because Astrid would talk to me about it, and she'd tell me that her mom would seem distant and not always, there for her when she needed her to be there, And she also talked about her mom and Barry and her mom and Barry's issues,
So that is really important for Astrid, Mary, to have someone that is concerned for her like you are, and that she does have a safe person to talk to. So that is really good for her to have. She stated that she stated to me prior when we were interviewing that she had stated that you were a safe person that she could talk to.
Wow, that is awesome. That makes me feel really good, and I'm really happy that she feels that way. But I mean, I wish I could do more,
And no, that's the hard thing, Mary. It's when we see a need and we want to help, but just seeing how you have been that person that she can go to and talk to and feel safe talking to, then that you've helped her. So that's good to point out.
Thanks a lot.
So I'd really like thank you for sharing all that you have shared, and just kind of looking back over the situation and what we had talked about. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me about this time that she talked to you in your classroom about her mom stabbing Barry?
No, she only told me about the time that her mom stabbed Barry, and that her mom didn't seem too interested in her anymore. Astrid didn't say that there was any other time that her mom had hurt Barry, but that her mom was really sad and really mad at Barry, like, all the time. So.
Okay. So was there any other times Astrid talked about this situation or any other situation?
No, I think that was the only time that raised my concerns enough to report it, so.
Okay. So, just kind of looking over the report that you gave me, it says that it was dated March 18th, 2015. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's the same day that Astrid and I talked in my classroom at the end of that lunch hour. I reported it after school hours that day.
Okay. So, looking back at Ingrid's previous involvement with child services, just going back into her case, there's an investigation done on February 6th, 2015, that stated that there was an argument between Ingrid and Barry at the home that was reported by the neighbor as a domestic dispute, and it was not founded. The case was closed, but were you aware of this incident?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I mean, she didn't, like, Astrid didn't talk to me about it at all. But man, the beginning of February, like, that would explain a lot of her behavior at the beginning of that month. So, yeah, I mean, she seemed a lot more quiet, I guess.
So, Mary, could you clarify what you meant when you are stating that Astrid seemed a lot more quiet?
Well, I mean, she didn't talk very much, and she seemed really withdrawn and uninterested. I mean, not that she's, the most talkative person to begin with, but she was, like, really uninterested in even art. Like, she loves art. It's the only thing, I think, that makes her like school at all, and she was, like, not having any of it. And, I mean, she still completed her schoolwork. She still took her exams and that kind of thing. And I guess participated in class. Maybe she was trying to hide it. I don't know. But I mean, I could tell, seeing her in the hallways and seeing her in art class, she was just a lot more quiet, uninterested, and sad.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about Astrid and the talk that you had in your classroom?
I don't think so.
So is there anything you would like to share about Astrid or her mom?
I honestly hope that Astrid is going to be a lot more safe now. I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been to be living with that woman. Like, oh, I guess I'm just wondering what's going to happen to Astrid now.
Well, Mary, since her mother has been charged with first-degree murder, she can no longer, her mother can no longer have her, so she is now in the custody of social services.
Oh.
So we're meeting with you at this time to just help us provide us with more information since the incident. But now that she is in the care of social services, she will be placed into a foster home.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions right now?
I just need to think for a second. I mean, I just want to know that she's safe, Like, I guess I guess what I'm trying to ask is, I guess she's not going to be coming back to our school then if she's going to be fostered?
It's difficult to say at this time, Mary, but it's most likely that she will be placed close. Doesn't mean that she'll be necessarily in the same school. She might be transferred to another school.
Okay.
Is there any other information you would like to know about responding to this interview? Or?
No, I guess not. I guess things are kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah, it's still figuring that out. And if there's anything else you want to know about it, then we can definitely talk.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd like to thank you for talking with me today.
Yeah.
In this talking about difficult stuff and difficult situations.
Yeah.
And like I said before, if you have any other questions or anything else you want to discuss with me, I'll give you my card so you can talk to me and contact me at any time.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Thanks so much. Like I'm really glad I could help.
You're welcome. And just as things progress after the interview, and if you want to keep in touch, so you sound like a really good support for Astrid, and I see that as a strength in you, and that was a really good thing for her. And I'd like to thank you again for talking with me today.
No problem.
And answering my questions, because I know it's not easy.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I will conclude this interview at this point.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Thanks.
So my interview with Mary Williams on March 28th, 2015 in her home at 354 First Street, Victoria, BC, is now over. The time is now 10:45.